Hello guys. So previously we were working on creating a Flutter project from a Figma design, a simple Figma design, and here it is. We're going to continue on this time. So here is a simple design. I tweak it a bit to add three navigation bar, the home, the new, and then the list. And then I also opted to make this navigation bar accessible on major screens like in the creation of the fruit, the listing of the fruit. But in the showing of details, when you tap these individual cards, they will show a detail of each individual fruit. Uh, I omitted the home screen already, but this will be a separate screen, would make the user to tap back and go back here. So we're going to follow that. So I have cloned the previous project or the previous work that we did last time, and I'm going to work on the API first before we go to the Flutter app. So I have here a fresh clone API, and I'm going to show you again how to enable the what do you call this? How are we going to enable the uh, FastAPI server from creating a virtual environment for Python and downloading all the dependencies. So here are the files. Let me just minimize all of this. So as you can see, I have just the code. I don't have the virtual environment because that has not to be included here. So I'm going to first go and open the terminal. I'll go to open the terminal by pressing Control backtick. And then I'm going to create a, let me just increase, okay, maybe in this way. I'm going to increase the font size, okay, and then I'm going to install the virtual environment by running python -m venv, then the name of the directory for the environment venv. Oops, sorry, wrong spelling. That should be python, but if you are on Windows, typically the command is python 3. It doesn't even, maybe I have to use python 3. Yeah, okay, this time we are the same. Let me just close that because I'm going to activate this virtual environment manually. For Since I'm using Mac, I'm just going to use source, but for Windows, you're just going to run the script inside the BNB and then bin and then the activate. But I think it's not bin, but rather script BNB script and then activate. Okay, as far as I remember. But for Mac, just going to use the command source and then BNB bin and then activate. And then this time, I'm going to download the dependencies that is listed in the requirements that text. Okay. We freeze. We use the freeze command in Python to put in a text file those dependencies. It's not automatically installed there, but we have to manually place them there so that when we change working environment, we can simply run python 3-m pip install and then -r, then requirements. This will install in our current environment all the dependencies needed by our project. Since we're going to work on file upload today, I'm going to tweak the, what do you call this, the main, so that I would be able to what do you call this, upload file. So the first thing I'm going to do is edit this /new because all incoming files incoming new record will be placed here. But I remember, since I am in a different working environment, I need also to edit this one. Okay, the password is root. It depends on the working environment that you have, and you have to make sure that you have created rootdb in your database manually, because you are not going to use Alembic. You are seeing this Alembic in here. We are not using it right now. The purpose of Alembic is automatically migrating your code or your schema. Yeah, this is schema. No, not schema. The model, rather. Okay, it's model. So automatically migrating. When you say migrating it, what do you call this? Create a database, actual database in our database server that corresponds to this. Using Alembic, we're not going to use that yet. I'm just going to use that to you later on. So now you have to manually create this. Okay. And then you have to set your correct user and then password. Okay, and then we now go to main, and I'm going to work on the new endpoint. I'm just going to copy a code, and I'll just explain to you what it does. Okay, so this will be, I'm just going to give you this code anyway. Okay, there. Okay, and then I need to import some classes here. Okay, I have to import file, upload, and form from FastAPI because I need them in that for file upload. Okay. I will also need I will also need static files. This one. Let me just put it here. Okay. I'll need that. I also need shutil os patlib pil and then io. Okay. Or I think io is not necessary. I'll just um check it later on. Okay, I'm just going to paste them here. So I'll be needing this one. Not even OS. Did I use OS here? Let me see. I think we will need that later on, especially for fetching images. Okay. So I'm just going to leave it as such. Static files, not right now. Wait. Because I also need to configure where the, okay, just after the fast API configuration, I'm going to configure where the file will go to by placing there where it has to be uploaded to. I created a base there. This is basically important so that we can map where it's going to go. Typically, the file upload will go here. It will create a uploads folder there. You will see that, and it's going to automatically create that for us when we run this one. So next is I'm just going to add this now, but we will need this later on when we are going to fetch images. This one. We're going to mount. Okay, this we're going to mount the folder that we're going to create as slash static uploads. This will allow us to access the image from the Flutter via this path, the localhost 8000 slash static slash upload, and then the file name. We're going to use that later on. And let me just check if we have to import. Yeah, we need to add another dependency here. Okay, I will be needing to also install IO files. Okay, let me open the terminal again. The IO files is this one. Pip install IO files. We will need that. And static files, that's coming from the static files. Okay, let me try to run this one by running uvcorn app.main. This is the directory where the main app is. We're going to make that as our app and then reload. So far, there's no problem. And I can now proceed to go to the, what do you call this? Um, Flutter. Okay, we are going to work on the Flutter, but I need to save this. Only, yeah, as you can see, I'm having some problem already. I need also to import the optional. Where is that optional? Yeah, there's a problem already. It cannot find the optional. The optional is coming from typing. From typing import optional. Just like this one. To solve that one. We also have to install, by the way. Thankfully, it is suggesting us. Yeah, I forgot that. The Python multi-part to properly handle. Let me just terminate this right now. Sorry. To properly handle file upload. As you can see, we're going to upload file. Okay, then run the UV corn and no more problem. Just ignore this warning. The code editor basically not aware that we have those dependencies already. Now I'm just going to go back. I'm sorry. I thought I was okay. Sorry. I thought I was showing you that. Wait, let me just show you again. I was not in that while ago. Fast API. Where is it? Is? Wait, let me just open it. Fast API. Yeah, this one. So I also installed pip. I also installed Python multi-part. Yeah, this is just a shortcut of the python-m pip install. You can shortcut it by running pip install. If it doesn't work that way, then you can just use python-m pip install. Okay. Now, as you can see, it's already working. I just added that. So basically, I also added this optional there because it's needed by for optional data. I mean for variable that is not required to have a value by adding a default value of optional where it was used. It's basically used in here, this one. Because our image will just be optional from in this context. But as far as I know, in our Flutter, we're going to make it required. Okay, now let me go to Flutter. Now for Flutter, we're going to add the three buttons. Okay, but before we proceed, I remember we need to basically download the dependencies that is listed in here. But before I proceed, I'm just going to add the other stuff that we need. Okay, before I'm going to run the Flutter pub-get or clicking that download dependencies. So what do I need here aside from Google Fonts? We will need image picker. This is basically for the capturing of image. I'm just going to use the 8.6. Then we also use path. Okay, the version is 1.8.2. Okay, and then after that, I can just click this one, or I'm going to go to my terminal and run flutter pub get that way. Before I do, I have to run flutter clean because I think there is this previous build coming from the workspace that I work on before. So I will go to run the flutter clean and then run also the flutter pub get. I'm going to also add a git ignore file here now. That git ignore. Those are the files I don't want to be added to the versioning. So the versioning, and also not to be included in the GitHub. Those are basically the build files, not necessary to be included in the repository because they are auto-generated. Build files. When you say build files, when you run or debug your program, it's going to create those um, build files in order for the application to run. And you do not need that. You can just generate them whenever you want or in the new environment you are working in. So the value of that, I'm just going to paste it. Anyway, this will be available to you. Okay, save that one. And then save pubspec YML, pubspec YML, pubspec YML, YAML. Okay, pubspec YAML is basically where we can set those dependencies. And then I'm just going to run again. Let me increase my font size. Pub get Flutter pub get that one. Okay, it's going to download it and okay. I can now work. I can now start working. Okay, so before I proceed, okay, let me just reorganize this thing. Okay, the first thing is, what I will do is I'm going to create another home, which will be, which will accommodate, where is that Flutter thing? This one. Okay, I will have to create a um, home class, home widget rather, that will hold the home screen, this one and this one. I'm just going to create a single widget that holds this. And then as I'm going to click this one, every individual screen will appear. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is, let me go back to Flutter. I'm not showing you this. Was I not showing you? Yeah, I was showing you. I don't know if I was showing you this a while ago when I talking. So I'm just going to create a whole screen that have the single set of this one, navigation bar. And then when I click individual buttons, it's just going. I've noticed that this one is a little bit closer to that. I forgot. I overlooked that. Anyway, that will not be um co- uh what do you call this? I'm not going to follow that in there. Let me go back here. So what I will do is I'm going to change this one. So I'm going to create a new file. I'm just going to name it home.dart. This will be the content of that home.dart. I'm just going to paste it and explain it individually. There you go. Okay. Before I proceed, I'm just going to create these files so we can avoid those errors or problems. So I have the home screen. I'm just going to replace the home screen with these codes. I'm just going to copy and paste it and explain them to you individually. Okay. So to save time, I'm just going to delete this now. I don't need this. I'm going to use other file name. It's just going to be fruit list screen. Fruit list screen. The camel, the casing is snake case. Okay. And then this will correspond to a widget called this one. The name is uh fruitless screen. Fruitless screen. And then also need to have the, I think I'm done with this one. So I'm going to replace that now too. That's what we are going to work on today. That one, that very long code. And then I'm going to also create a service file. The service file, it contains the business logic to service um, our model, or yeah, it's where we are going to fetch data from our API. Okay, that's what we are going to do. And I don't know what, yeah, this is just fine. I'm just going to add another field there later on. So I'm just going to create another file. I'm just going to call it fruit service. Okay. That one. Up, sorry. I forgot the dot dart. Dart. The content of that will be fruit the dart. Fruit. Fruit service. I'm just going to rename it as API service. Yeah. API service. API. Then paste it here. And then for the models, I have to add another, what do you call this? Property, final, string, optional, question mark means optional, it could be nullable, image URL, and then I'm going to also add it here, there. What happened? Did I copy all the thing there? Oh wait, I'm going to fix that. Fruit, then I also have to add not required. This is not required. This that image URL. This one. Okay. It's not required. Yeah, it's not required anyway. And then fruit. Remove this extra parenthesis there. And that's just fine. Okay. And we also have the API dot dot. Okay. Now I'm going to organize this code so that we can group together codes of different type. Okay, that will be better. Now I'm going to create because as we are our app grow, there will be many files here. Files for models, files for service, files for widgets, files for pages or screens. So we're just going to organize them. I'm going to create new folder here, call it services, because we can anticipate that there could be multiple services later on. So a service could be um, per model. We can use individual service per model, or yeah, per model. We can also create another for pages or screens. Okay, I'm just going to use pages because it's commonly used, that one. And also the home screen dart. Put it there. And then later on we're going to use a widget. Okay, I can create now, but for now it's just blank. Widgets are basically reusable widgets, custom widgets that we created ourselves, just like that one. And then let me just run this one, make it work, and then explain to you briefly the piece of codes. Okay, and also the order how we're going to code them together. Where is this? How can I, sorry, it's looking for the home. The home is in here. I will also have to change this. I don't know. This is just fine. But yeah, this one, it should be home. Yeah, because we have changed it. I've changed it already. Yes, I'm going to remove this one. It should be, oops, sorry. I'm editing different things. It should be coming from home. Why I'm not editing it? Wait, this one. I think I am experiencing some problem with my code editor. I can no longer edit it. Wait, let me show you. happening with my text editor. Yeah, I think this would work now. Yeah. Just a minor glitch. This should be home. This is coming from the home dart. Okay. And then the fruit card, fruit this screen. Yeah, I'm just going to create the fruit card, but that would just be explained maybe sometime, not now, since it's recorded already by the fruit screen. Mm, let me open the other. Okay. I ended up creating the widget that I'm talking about. It's basically a fruit card. The fruit card will contain those individual card to contain the fruit record, fruit image. Okay, I have the widgets and then new file. Just name it as fruit card dot dart, then paste it here. And then also, yeah, I'm going to edit the constants. So the constants, even the themes. But for the constants, I'm just going to do it like this one. I'm going to paste it. So I created a class for that, not just a a Dart is by default a procedural type of language, not basically necessarily be what do you call this? Let me just increase my screen. Necessarily be a object oriented way, but as you can see with the new setup, already made it as what do you call this? I already made it as object oriented. I created a class for that, and all those API URL that we need. I also have the get fruits endpoint where we're going to fetch fruits, and then the new fruits endpoint, so that in here we are just going to refer to those in wherever we want to use the API, rather than um changing it every place where we use this endpoint. And I'm using this because I'm using emulator. But if you're going to make it run on your cell phone, you have to know identify your IP address by using ipconfig on Windows CMD. And the default is 8000. I did not use that. I did not change that. Okay. Save that one. And then let's go back to, let me just inspect. Even the theme, I already tweak it so I can add other colors. There are just some colors that I added. I'm just going to show you what are the colors that I added. Let me just copy it. I added color for tertiary, okay, for the accent color by doing it this way. Okay, this is just an extension. I extended the color scheme, okay, by adding the success color, error custom, warning info, and also for the tertiary became my accent color. So tertiary basically it's used for call to action buttons like that. Buttons and things that I want to stand out in my page. So we're following the 60-30 rule. 60-30-10 rule, 60% the primary. 30% of color will be the secondary, and for the accent becomes the 10%, just like that. Now I'm just going to make this work, okay, make it run, and then I'm going to further discuss it. I'm not going to, by the way, do it, code it, okay, code it, what do you call this, on the spot. I'm just going to explain them to you because it really takes so much time to do that. Okay, let me just save this one, and then let me now go to my main dart, okay, and then run it. What I am able to make work this time is just the, what do you call this, the create. Okay, let's wait for that to be loaded. You can see it there. But while yeah, it takes really time to run it on the emulator. But before that's um is doing its job in the background, let me just explain to you. So for the main dart, let's start with main dart. Okay, so I just created a material app. But for iOS, there is a alternative to this. We can use the Cupertino material library. I'm just going to introduce you later on. Material app is basically for Android phones. So what we are developing is, but even though we are just using this, it can still run on iOS, but the look and feel doesn't abide with the native iOS look and feel because this is made for Android and we can use that. I'm just going to introduce that to you later on. Okay, then we set the material app home to home. Okay, let's go to the home. For the home, okay, what I did here, I created a stateful widget, and this is how you can create a stateful widget. Okay, now I created a list of what do you call this? I do not intend to do it like that one. Wait, let me see if the emulator. Let me see the emulator if it's yeah, it's already running. Okay, let me continue discussing that. Okay, this is how we can create a what happened. Where is the home screen? Ah, okay. I was moved to home screen. I was looking for the home a while ago. Yeah, this is basically the three screens. Okay, this represents the three screens. Okay, and then map each of them using this one to individual widgets. This slash is the home screen, new fruit is create screen, and then fruit list is screen. And then um um I use this one. Okay. So basically, this is just a method. Okay. In that method, this is being referenced when we tap the navigation bar. It is set in the bottom here. This one. Okay. And then when we tap it, it's going to automatically pass as a parameter what is the index of the navigation bar. We have the navigation three buttons for the navigation bar, right? It's the home, plus, and then list. When you click any of those, it's going to call, because we set it on the on tap property, it's going to call this on tap function here, passing the index. And then in the index, we set the state. Okay, it's just a callback to change the current index. When this changes, okay, this bottom navigation bar will react and it's going to set it's going to change what is actively what do you call this selected in the navigation bar. Okay, the color will be changed. Okay, the color will be changed and then yeah, it's going to make that effect. And then we also have here there are basically two things that are changing on the screen, not just the activated bottom navigation bar, but also in here. Let me show you in the Figma. Okay, this one, this thing contains a stack. What do you call that? Stack widget, or yeah, it's called the index stack. We are creating a stack. When you say stack, it's a data structure. One thing, one screen on top of the other is like layering. Okay, I made those three screens stuck together so that when we click any icon here, the corresponding index will be basically displayed in here. Okay, just like that one. So when I'm going to also click the navigation button, it not only activate that button, but also pick pick from this what it wants to be displayed. As you can see, we have here the index. Okay, the current index, the children, the children will be fetched from the map that we have created, which is this one, routes. Okay, routes. This is a private property. We just pass in, we just pass in the name of that. The name basically is this one, the one. And then okay, we're just basically creating a list of those three widgets together, and whenever that current index is changed via this, okay, that will be activated in the index stack. That's how it works. Index stack, that's how it works. Okay, this starts the bottom navigation bar, and adjust. These are just the decoration that we added last meeting. Okay, that's how it works. Now let me just go and try it out in the emulator. Ano, okay. I thought I was showing you the code. Okay. This one, let me repeat myself. Okay, in here, in the index stack, okay, I made the three screen stuck together. And when this is changed, which is via here, this is activated via on top, which is called by the navigation bar in here, that one. It will also change what will be currently displayed. If I'm going to show you the emulator, this is how it's going to look like. Wow, it's not yet loaded. Let me see. There could be some problem. It's not being loaded. Okay, let me just restart it just this way. And I'm going to continue discussing this and then show you later on how it looks like. Yeah, there you go. It's already displaying, as you can see it. Now, I just changed that to welcome there. Change the color, make it using the accent color, just fine. It's just a slight change from the Figma, but I can just remove that one. I forgot also to add the icon because I was adding a custom icon here. Let me just quickly fix that one. So I just have to add in here the files. Let me just in okay. Let me show you the code. Okay. And then in the asset, I just add here also the home, the list and the home. How am I going to get the files? Let me try if this would work. What am I going to do? Will work. Oops. There you go. And then also change the pub spec YAML here. I'm going to also add home, and this should fix the problem. I would should be able to see the home working or showing already. Error, loading fruits. Exception, network error. Why? Let me see. There could be some problem in our there could be some problem in our API. Yeah, there's some error here. Yeah. Let me show you my there's a problem. Did you see that? There's something. I noticed the home icon is already in there. I use that. I use this icon because this is better than the Android icon. This one, there's a problem here. Now to fix that, if you are going to encounter that, you just have to install what do you call this? Um, cryptography, because it is being needed to connect to the MySQL server. I think this is only on Mac OS. So I'm just going to fix it. But if that will, if you will see something like this one, can connect to MySQL. This is because of I need to install this one. This has something to do with encrypting the password in connecting to the MySQL. Press enter. I'm just going to place those. Yeah, before I forget, I'm just going to run pip freeze, pip freeze, pip, pip freeze, then requirements.txt. Yeah, so that we save those changes, this one. So next time we just have to pip install. And then this should solve the problem, I suppose, but we are going to see it later on. Okay, let me go back to the Flutter. We have there the emulator. As you can see, if I'm going to click this individually, we will see them. I already added this one and also this one. It doesn't have anything yet, but I'm not going to discuss that in this session. Okay, so these are the three screens stuck together. When I click this, they react because we have this is a stateful widget. When you say stateful widget, the content changes every time the user interact with it by like clicking this thing. So this is a whole, basically this is a whole, I don't know if you are seeing my cursor. I forgot to turn on that. That whole screen is a stateful widget. It changes the screen per event. Okay, let me show you the code in here. Where is the other? Yeah, this one. This one rather. Home. Home. Where is this? Home. This one. What is changing there is basically the value of current index, which is being changed by calling the on top function. This one. Okay. And then what is just changed is that we change the value of the current index into index. If this change using the set state, it's going to rebuild, okay, the screen. It's going to show the necessary screen that is part of the index stack, and then it's going to highlight the necessary button that is currently active, which is this one. That will be rebuilt. Okay. Now let's now go to the upload. Let me just take a demonstration of that, and then I'm going to explain the code. So I'll go here, in here, and go to new, and let me just type um grapes. Yeah, it's a bit laggy because I have so many things running on my computer right now. This is seedless. Look at that. And then you just click this one, it's going to open the cameras. But since I'm on the emulator, it's going to have an emulated camera. This is basically the actual camera. Okay, but when you're going to run this on your computer, on your phone, it's going to use your phone's camera. Click this one to capture and select that. It will automatically place in there. And I'm going to save this. Let's see if it's going to work. The API is listening. Click save. There's an error. We can inspect in the API what went wrong. Okay, what went wrong? We cannot see it there. There's no problem. Which we're going to run it again. Unexpected character. Unexpected character. Creating fruit. Unexpected character. So it could be that the problem is in the Flutter thing. What could be that problem? Unexpected. It says what do you call that? Unexpected. Unexpected character. Let me try and find that one. The good thing here is not going to crash if it's just a communication error. Okay, it cannot connect perhaps because of I just misspelled something. Let me see. I'll go to API to the API service. This one, where could that be? Wait, give me give me a minute, or let me just see. Where is that coming from? uh Fruit screen. I copied that. Constants, I also copied it. Um, maybe in the program. Unexpected character at character 1. May I inspect the log of this one. This is strange. It was working. I set assets icons home. Let me just restart it, or hot reload. This is hot reload. Okay, it's hot reload. And no, sorry. The hot reload, by the way, is when you make changes here, it's going to automatically reflect on the emulator. But to force restart, you can use this one. Okay. Let me see if edit solved already. New, then grapes, take a picture, then click again, then save. The problem, error creating fruit, format exception. Okay, let me see. Yeah, here, format exception. Error creating fruit. This could be here. The problem is happening here in the create fruit. Format exception. This is a problem. Where could that be? File, image file, then multi-part request. Wait. Okay, let's proceed. Um Let me try again. Okay. The problem, I'm supposing that the problem is due to that my MySQL server has not yet started. It's basically showing here. There you go. I cannot connect for now. I thought this problem was just because of that, what do you call this? Crypto cryptography while ago, but you still have to install that if that's being asked on Windows. Now let me try saving again. Yeah, I was not able to connect a while ago. There you go, fruit saved successfully. Now let me show you again. It was saved successfully. Let me try again. This time I'm going to use orange. It's not seedless. Take a picture again. I'm just going to fix that error later on. That should not be shown. Okay. I just have to remove the e dot something. I will show you later on. There you go. Fruit save successfully. Now, to inspect in the API, okay, to inspect in the API, you already see this one. Okay, under this one, you will see that. And there you go. There are the files already added coming from the phone that just looks like that. Okay. Now, let me show you the Flutter. Let me just quickly discuss. Now, the error is not so good. I just can replace this one. This is basically for debugging purposes, but when you will deploy your app, avoid displaying technical error. You rather use lagging. I'm just going to share with you lagging. Lagging is basically seen that will be hidden to the UI, but you can still inspect it. But you do not show them on basically you do not show them on the screen. It's not proper. Just like that one. You just use that one. Okay, save that one. And then I'll go to the create fruit screen. This is how it works. So first we're going to import these packages. We need them. Okay. You will see those comments there. Those are basically explanation of those codes and yeah, line per line. The second thing is we're going to create the stateful widget. Just this is basically fixed. The style is fixed. The format. You create the class, extend stateful widget. You have to use this one. You just have to create a constructor passing super.key that's necessary. Then override this one, create a state. Okay, this will handle the state. We will need this basically because this is a form. Typically for form, it's a stateful widget. Then create state function, and then this is a object of this private. When you see something like that, that's a private. Okay, it's only readable within this class or this context. Okay, so number 3 and number 4, initialize controllers. This will be for the form. We're going to create a form key that will be used for validating the form input. The controller to read the name input. This is basically used if you want to get data of the type text. So every individual field should have this one. We have the bool seedless. This will be used for the switch. File image to store captured image of the type file. As you can see, it's nullable. It could be nothing. That's the purpose of that question mark in there. And then we will create an object for the API service. So we can call the function create fruits. This one, which transport our data into the server. Okay, that's what it do. And then bool is loading. This is basically used to set a state wherein what's happening. You click the save button, it's going to replace the screen with a loading indicator using this. Okay, and then we're going to use to have a method to open the camera of this future, because when you say future, it represents something whose value will be present in the future. Okay, you typically do that. So basically, when you open the camera, you wait for the user to capture the image. Okay, and then that image will be returned back. Typically, it's like that one. Okay, so this will be executed when we click the what do you call this one, when we click the camera button. Inside it, we are just using image picker. Okay, and then the source will be from the camera. Okay, this will be automatically activated. Then after we pick from the camera, it's going to close that camera picking or picture picking, and then the file will be um, given back. And if the file is not null or the user pick a picture, okay, we're going to change the image value to the value of the file by just like this one. Okay, we also have the save root. Again, it's a future because when you started this one, it takes some time for it to finish. Okay, not just that it takes some time to return the value, but it takes some time for that to finish. Okay, or the value is something to be determined in the future after clicking it or activating it. The save root here, this is a number 5 or number 6. It's basically called when we click the save button. Okay, so before we save, we have to check whether the form is valid. The validator is set in here. Let me just go there. We have there the validator in here. We are just determining whether the the value of the form field, the name of the form field, the name of the fruit rather field is empty or not. Okay, if that's a validator basically. Okay, that's a validator. Okay, so if not valid, we're going to return this one. If not, it's going to be null. So if it's null, meaning the field will be um valid. Let's go back in here. Okay, that's this one. So basically, it's going to run the validator when we click the save fruit. Okay, and then alert user to take photo. So the image basically is required here. If the file is null, we're going to use, okay, the snack bar. When you the snack bar is the notification, a thing that you saw, okay, at the bottom. Okay, the color red and then the color green. It's going to show this. The way you should do that is using the scaffold messenger of the same context, and then just going to see, please take a photo of the fruit, and it's not going to proceed. It's going to prematurely terminate this if there is no present image. They also have the set state here, okay, because it's important that when we are saving, we also uh, uh, when it's finished validating the form and it's good, then we proceed to saving. We have to change the is loading to true, okay, so that we can change the screen with a progress bar. Where is that? In here. As you can see, the body of this is scaffold widget. There's a ternary operation here. If it's still loading, if it's loading, that's just it. I will see a circular progress indicator. But if not, I'm going to see the form contain a single child scroll view. The reason why it's put in a single child scroll view is that when the keyboard appears, as we can see the screen, the screen for the widget will be limited. So we would be able to scroll down to the last field because it's scrollable. That's the purpose of that. Okay, let me go back here. Um, this one next. When we set it to loading, and then we can now begin communicating to the server by calling the create fruit function coming from the API service. Okay, and then when this is done, we can now proceed to display the notification that is successfully created. Now I have a mounted check here. The purpose of this is I have just to check if widget still not mounted, meaning it's still on the screen or not, because the appearance of our this one, as you can see, I can just while it's saving, I can just automatically to home. Okay, so if the screen is still currently on, I can proceed to display the fruit, this one, using the scaffold what do you call this, scaffold of context show snack bar, fruit saved successfully. If the user is still on the create fruit screen, otherwise this will not be just done. Okay, we can also reset the form after successful save. Okay, to do that, I can just use name controller dot clear and then set state. Seedless is equal to false, the image is null, and then its loading is false. So this thing will be responsible to replacing the screen from progress bar to the old form or the original form display. And this is just resetting the seedless. So the toggle will be reset to false. The image will also be blank, or the picture, okay, the picture will be just blank. Okay, the picture that is currently displayed on the form. This is just a way of clearing things. If there's a problem, okay, its loading is false, and then we're just going to show an error. Okay, it's also necessary to check if it's mounted, because there's a tendency that the user will just go away. Sorry, this one, and if you're just going to copy it, there's a tendency that the user will be will go away before even this will be displayed. Okay, this is just fine. And then next, we're now going to building the UI. Okay, since this is a stateful widget, this will be rebuilt every time the set state function is called or callback is called, which is called in the save fruit function, also in the take picture. It is where those set states are called, and every time you make those events, you take a picture and then you save. This will be rebuilt. Okay, this will be rebuilt. But for the original state, okay, or meaning the loading is false, it's just going to display the form. I have here, I added a size box there so the new fruit is not so close to the, what do you call this, to the top bar. Okay, I did not added an up bar here because I don't want it. And I just use the theme. This is how you can use the theme. You do not use a hard-coded style or color. You use, or even text style, text theme. You use the theme that we define in the theme. This one. That's how you're going to use it. And then this is just a spacer. And then the form field. Okay. We also, and then this is basically the label, by the way, the label, and then the text form field to accept input. Controller, this is pointed to the controller that we defined on top. It's basically where we can get the data or the value of that later on. Okay, that's one. You have to create an instance of the text editing controller so that you can get its data later on. And then this is just a decoration. This is how you can change the default. You get the padding, you set the padding rather, the border, how it looks like, and yeah, the circular. I adapted this to the style of the Figma. Enable border, so you can see the border, but by default, it doesn't have a border. Focus border will be the using the accent color, which is a tertiary, and then this is, here comes the validator also. And then card elevation is basically whether to use border or not, or shadow or elevate. When you say elevate, like you pop it, you make it pop style, and it will create a shadow. I just made it 0.1, so it's just subtle. I can basically make it 0, so I don't want to show any border around it. Margin, use an inset. These are just basically settings, or yeah, settings of for themes. Now for the child, we have the switch list style. This has something to do with the toggle button. It's called switch list style. Okay. Here we can also set color. You can play around this if you're going to use it a toggle. You can tweak the color by using here. The value is basically the boolean value that we set on top, which changes when the event on change is fired. It's just going to call the on state again. When you call that on state, it's going to also change the style of the toggle. It's just going to make it to make it appear like on or off. Okay, just like that. And then text photo. This is a label for the text photo. And then inkwell. Inkwell is, you use inkwell so that you can add gesture to a widget, like you can tap on it. As you can see, it has tap. You have to, if it's not a button, it's just a ordinary widget and you want it to be tappable, or you want to add an event listener on it, you make it in a inkwell. But there's an alternative to that. Just use that. But anyway, just use that one. Inkwell. Okay, the content is a container with just the rectangle with a camera inside of it. Avoid using with opacity. This should be with values. With opacity is deprecated. This is how you can change it that way. Avoid using this one. It's deprecated. When you say deprecated, it's nearly obsolete. They're going to remove that soon. Then take photo. Okay, take photo. Okay. So when you click it that, it's just going to run that. take picture function that we defined on top. Okay. And then afterwards, this is basically a ternary. If the image is not yet set, okay, if it's still null, okay, we're going to show the camera button. Otherwise, we're going to display the file, the image file using the clip rect. It's just going to create a rectangle filled with the image that was selected with values, then alpha. Okay. And then another spacer, and then the submit button, which just save when we press it. It's not on top, it's when on press. And then that's just it. Okay. We also need this one, void dispose. When we dispose the widget, clean up the controller when the widget is destroyed. What we are going to clear here is basically the controller. We want to make it blank, and then we are going to we have to call this before the widget is disposed or destroyed. We just want the name controller. The name controller is basically the the text editing controller that listens for the value or stores for the value of the text form field. That makes the create fruits. I'm just going to create another video on the display of data coming from the API, but the code is basically in here already. I'm just going, so I want you guys to follow the code, and then you have started, you have initial knowledge already on the widget. You can start building your group project already and build it incrementally as build it incrementally as your knowledge on Flutter development increases. Okay, so would you be able, would I hope that you would be able to apply this knowledge on your specific project, especially for inserting data using a form and going into the server and save it into the database. Now for the reading part, we're going to deal with that later on. Okay.